Hello?
Nak, kumusta?
Oh God. Here we go. Let me hear it.
Nak, si lolo mo kailangan ng gamot. Chase, yung kuryente natin overdue na.
Hello?
Kuya, kulang pa pang tuition ko.
Oh man. Sounds familiar. You just got your 15th of the month payroll. You finally hit that 50K savings milestone that you were grinding for. You're feeling like a high value individual. And then the GC goes crazy. Suddenly that 50K isn't your money anymore. It's the family's emergency fund. It's the neighborhood's loan shark without the payments. It's everyone's solution except yours. Welcome back to Minecraft. Today, we're tackling the sandwich generation crisis. We're talking about that crushing middle ground between you trying to build your future and at the same time being your parents' retirement plan. How do you set boundaries without becoming the villain of the family? Well, grab your coffee. Tara. In the Philippines, we don't have a nursing home culture. We have a family culture. We're taught at a very young age that taking care of your parents when they get old is an honor. It's not just a duty. Ang hindi lumingon sa pinanggalingan ay hindi makakarating sa paroroonan. There's actually a freaking saying for that. It sounds noble. Looks great on a Christmas commercial. We love the story of a martyr. We glorify the story of a child who sacrifices their dreams to buy their parents a house or send 5 other siblings to school. We call that kid the savior. But here's the problem with the savior narrative. A savior eventually dies for the cause. No pun intended. And in 2026, the cause is an endless cycle of financial dependency that's killing the Filipino middle class. We're not just sacrificing our comfort, we're sacrificing the economic survival of the next generation to pay for the debts of the last. Our parents don't have 401ks or SSS pensions that could cover inflation or even diversified portfolios. A lot of them don't even know what that means. Their investment was us. They spent everything on our education with the unspoken agreement that we're the ROI. But here's the math that doesn't add up, for most of us at least. First is the cost of living. Our parents' expenses in 1995 are nothing compared to a bag of groceries in 2026 or even 2025, which is roughly the time that this is taped. Yes, inflation is not a myth. It's an actual thing. And then there's a medical cliff. As our parents age, their medical needs become exponential. One stroke, one heart attack, your entire life savings is gone. But at that point, that's the least of your problems. You have to reel from the loss too and allow yourself to grieve, which is pretty full on. And then the sandwich effect. You're squeezed. You have to save for your kids' future or your future kids, so they don't have to support you, while at the same time, paying for your parents' present. If you give 30% of your salary to your parents and 20% to your siblings, you aren't really getting ahead. You're literally just treading water in a storm. You aren't a savior. You're a financial shock absorber for a system that failed them. So why do we feel so much guilt? It's because utang na loob isn't just gratitude. It literally means debt from within. It's an internal ledger that never zeroes out. Psychologists call this parentification. This is when the roles are reversed. The child becomes the emotional and financial provider to the parents. This creates a very weird power dynamic. So on one hand, you have the money, so you should have the power, right? But they have the parent card, so they also have the guilt card. According to recent surveys, over 50% of Filipino millennials think that they would never retire. We're the first generation in history that might end up poorer than our parents because we're effectively supporting 2 different generations. A lot of you will be saying by now, so Chase, ano na? Do I stop feeding my parents? Should I let them starve? Of course not. Siyempre hindi. We're not ruthless monsters, but we're strategists. We should be. We need to move from being the savior to being the provider with boundaries. You've heard it on every flight that you've had at this stage of your life. Put on your mask first before you help others. If you go broke, everyone loses. You must first prioritize your personal emergency fund and your own money stash and your insurance first before you increase the allowance that you send home. Stop asking magkano kailangan nyo or how much do you need. That's an open invitation for lifestyle inflation. Instead, set a fixed, sustainable amount that fits your budget. You can always say, ma or pa, ito makakaya kong mabigay buwan-buwan para makapag-ipon din ako para sa sarili ko. No sane parent would say no to that. And there's also these pseudo-emergencies that seem to come up. There's a difference between a hospital bill and a cousin's handaan. You have to learn to say no to the wants that are disguised as needs. Pasensya na, wala akong budget to sponsor a birthday. Nakalaan na yung pera ko sa insurance. And in my case, instead of giving just cash, which would likely disappear in a couple of seconds, invest it in family systems that lower the risk. Pay for their HMO directly. Pay bills online so you know where the money goes. And never ever give them a capital for a business that they don't know how to run. That's just a donation in disguise. And at some point, you'd have to have the talk with your parents. And it's going to be awkward. There's a huge chance that there might be some tears involved. Or worse, you might get called madamot, selfish. But you have to explain and make them realize that your success is their actual safety net. If you stay at that 40K job for so many years because you're trying to help everyone, you will never reach that 150K or 200K per month role that you've always wanted. And when the real emergency hits, you'll be totally useless. Okay, so this whole sandwich generation crisis ends with us. It should. The goal isn't and was never to just survive our parents' retirement. The goal is to never have our children make a video like this. The goal is when we hit 60, our kids can look at their savings account and never feel an ounce of guilt. Boundaries are never a lack of love. It is in fact the highest form of love, because it ensures the survival of the whole family, not just the temporary comfort of a few. You're not a bad child. You're just someone who just decided to break the cycle. That's all it is. So, are you the savior in your family? Have you ever said no to a request that made you feel like a villain? Let's talk about it in the comments. This is a safe space for all the sandwich people. This has been awesome. I'm Chase. Protect your peace and your passbook. Salamat for watching.